Hey you guys, so it's Yuna, and I'm coming at you today from St. Augustine, Florida, from the Fountain of Youth. Now I'm at the park. The Fountain of Youth is actually behind me, but we're gonna go and walk the grounds because there's a cannon. They're gonna be shooting cannon fire, and here's some cannons right here. And we're gonna look off the fort or whatever, and then we'll come back to drink from the Fountain of Youth. So let's see what they have now. Mr. Peacock?
Pick up your anchor and let's go.
They just walk right up to you. Tinajones, the large clay jars placed around the grounds, are early Spanish water urns called tinajones. They were placed under eaves of houses to catch rainwater and buried halfway underground to keep the water cool. The tinajones in the park vary in size, but are all made of fire-baked clay. There you go, tinajon. If you want to come here, it's very lovely. The grounds are nice. You can walk everywhere. It's very peaceful. Definitely worth the visit. Ponce de Leon. He was 4'9", but with his boots on and with the feathers in his hat, he was 5'5". And that's what our tour guide told us, so that's why I'm repeating it to you guys. So he was shorter than me. On Easter Sunday, March 27th, Ponce de Leon sighted this land and named it Florida. April 3rd, AD 1513, he entered the harbor and landed in this vicinity. And this is where the Atlantic meets the Intercoastal. And they're going to be shooting off cannons in a minute now. So that's why I'm going over here. Okay, pictured here are the archaeological remains of a Spanish chalupa, and this is a chalupa right here. So no, it's not just something you eat at Taco Bell. This is a chalupa. It's a boat. There you go.
And because if this powder gets damp, it's not going to fire, so we're just going to speed this up. That's already lit, by the way. All right. So this is your state-of-the-art cannons for the 1500, cast iron muzzle loaded. Everything went down the front, the muzzle, the powder, the wadding, and the cannonball. They're very powerful. They can shoot a cannonball up to 2 miles. Now, after you shot them off, you had to get a wet sponge on a long stick, push it down in there, making sure all the embers are out before the powder guy can reload it. And that would take time, and these would have been on your big ships. Pedro Menendez had 20 old cannons. That's a different style. It's one that you would have had during medieval times. A breech charged, muzzle loaded. Cylinder in the back is a servidor. Each cannon would have several of those, and you would preload those with the powder and wadding. Slide it in the back, and the cannonball would be the only thing that goes down in front of that cannon. It was a weaker cannon, however, you could shoot it faster. You didn't have to use the wet sponge. You just pull the servitor out and slap a new one in. And the thing was, the big ships couldn't come in here because the inlet was so shallow that they had to park their big ships out in the ocean and come in their smaller boats that our cannonball was able to handle, like the chalupa over here. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to give him the formula to fire a cannonball is whatever the cannonball weighs, up to half that weight in gunpowder is used for a full load. We got a 6-pound cannonball. We would use 3 pounds of gunpowder. We did not put 3 pounds of gunpowder in that cannon, put a fraction of that in there. And we are not firing a cannonball because that's point over Volano Pier. People wouldn't care for that. So no cannonball, but there is wadding flying out, and you can probably see that where we're using Spanish moss. I'm going to give him 2 commands, por España, which means for Spain, fuego, and he will fire the cannon. All small children and anybody with sensitive hearing should cover their ears. Everybody else, you can get your device out, hit the record button, and record the firing so you can share it with your friends and family every day of the week. All right, guys, here we go. Listo? Por España, fuego! Nice. And that was 2 ounces of gunpowder. 2 ounces. Could you imagine 3 pounds in there? All right, guys, we're going to get the watchtower open. Not sure if John is able to shoot his gun. You'll have to see if he's able to do a demonstration or not because of the way it rained. And I believe Kevin's in the boathouse or blacksmith had to go home earlier. Hey, thanks for stopping by and enjoy the rest of your time here at the Fountain of the Youth. All right, good luck.
All right, now we're going to climb up the watchtower. Let's go. This is an example of a mid-century, 16th century watchtower. All right, let's walk up it and then we're going to go to the Fountain of the Youth. All right, let's climb. Wow. Here we go. And there's those cannons. The Pacific meets the Intercoastal. That looks like a pirate ship. What do you guys think? Huh. So this is the first site of the first settlement in the New World. Ponce de Leon landed here. Columbus landed in Puerto Rico. So here is the site even before Jamestown. So I didn't know if anyone knew that, but now you know. And for my Florida friends, they already knew this, but in the trees is Spanish moss. And these are live oaks. And I videoed that oldest live oak earlier. It's 600 years old, so it's pretty cool. Okay, let's go to the Fountain of Youth. 1513 was the voyage of discovery for Ponce de Leon. And he landed in Florida, and before the United States was known as the United States, actually it was called Florida. The whole country, all of North America, was known as Florida. When you hear that sound, that was them actually crying. There's a really colorful one back there. They just don't spread their peacock feathers. This is so pretty. Definitely a place to visit. These cannons, ooh, and there's still a ball in there. You see it? Are from the USS Constitution. Ooh. Launched in 1797 and named by President George Washington, the oldest commissioned naval vessel. And these two non-firing cannons were part of the ornamental on board, known as Old Ironsides during the 1930s. On to the Fountain of Youth. There you go, you guys. Your girl has joined history. King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella. Also, let's see, from Mr. Ripley, from Ripley's Believe It or Not has been here. Harvey Firestone. Amelia Earhart, and Helen Keller have been here. There's the fountain, and there's the Fountain of Youth, you guys. You can drink of it. They provide cups and you can drink. So 2,400, the ancestors of the Tumuacuan began making pottery. In 1530, Juan Ponce de Leon claims La Florida for Spain. 1565 is Pedro Menendez, the admiral, settles San Agustin.
Same source of water these Indians, the Tomocan Indians, lived off for at least 4,000 years before Ponce landed here in 1513. Now, underneath our tiny little salty state, we happen to have the second biggest aquifer in the country, It starts in the Florida Keys, goes up to South Carolina and over to Alabama. And it is a huge limestone bath. Some aquifers are fed by underground rivers and streams. This aquifer is totally dependent on rainfall. When it rains, the rain trickles through the earth, then back down through the limestone, and eventually back into the aquifer. That takes about 150 to 200 years. So the limestone, of course, is acting like Mother Nature's natural filter for the water. Second biggest aquifer in the country, but the biggest producer of drinking water in the world. Everybody wants our water, and pretty much everybody is taking it. However, once the bottling companies take this water, they take all the minerals out. It is actually much better for you in its natural state. It still has 40 trace minerals. We are pumping this directly from the aquifer. If you live within 400 miles of here, your city is taking from this aquifer, but they're going to put it in a big holding tank, and then they're going to treat it according to the shape of that tank. This water is coming straight from the aquifer, so it doesn't have bleach. And, it really depends on the shape of it.
Dasani uses this water and filters it. And there you see the background. Interesting. So we're gonna drink from the Fountain of Youth, like Ponce de Leon did. Let's go. The Fountain of Youth. Got my cup. Let's go. And it's a well, so I can't jump in. But it's okay, I'll just get water. The Fountain of Youth. The spring was discovered in 1513 and was recorded a landmark in a Spanish grant. And there's Juan Ponce de Leon. And that is Pedro Menendez. Let's see if this works. Cheers, guys. It tastes like well water. That's good. Definitely. Worth coming here. It's fun. It was a lot of fun. I want to thank TJ, Tampa J, for originally doing the video where I watched this. That's what made me want to do this. So TJ, this is for you. You and your fun little adventures, you inspired me. Well, you guys, I think I need to get going because I need to go to my next adventure. I love you. Thank you for joining me. From the Fountain of Youth, this is Yayuna saying I love you, and I'll see you on the next trip. Bye.